Today I'll be comparing the first half of Act 1, Scene 3 of Macbeth across 3 different films. First of all, the witches on all 3 interpretations are portrayed differently but all essentially represent evil. Gould has the witches all wear the same clothes and walk in formation to intimidate the audience. The straight frozen eyes, cool eyebrows and lips, and mocking tone convey their unnaturalness and ill intentions.
All hail, Macbeth. Hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor.
Since the evil witches are depicted as nurses, people whom ethics and compassion are supposed to be most important, the idea that appearance and reality are often distinct is depicted. The chain of being obviously is breaking apart when such agents of evil are wearing the uniform of nurses. The ill intentions of the witches in Polanski's film are shown as the younger witch challenges God's order by committing profane acts, first exposing her back for a ritual, and then exposing her private parts to mock Macbeth. The idea of appearance versus reality is additionally depicted in the witches' harmless appearances.
Of Cawdor, all hail, Macbeth.
They look like old, sweet-sounding women in peasants' clothes. Wright has the witches surround Macbeth and then advance toward him forcibly, signifying their intention to intimidate and manipulate him. The witches attempt to seduce Macbeth with their unrestricted clothing and alluring voice, laughs, and gestures.
All hail, Macbeth, hail to thee.
They appear as bar girls or prostitutes, and are thus symbols of indulgence and are outside God's chain of being. Hence, Shakespeare's appearance versus reality theme is not portrayed in Wright's version of the scene. As for Macbeth, his pre-existing desire to be king is clearly shown in all 3 productions. When the witches predict Macbeth being king hereafter,
Thou shalt be king hereafter.
he startles in fear because the witches touch upon a thought he previously had, and diverts his eyes to the floor in an attempt to conceal his desires to be king. Macbeth frets and shakily runs after the witches.
Tell me more! By my father's death I know I am Thane of Glamis!
Instead of following them in a confident manner, in the way the innocent Banquo does. In Polanski's film, Macbeth's facial expression turns tense and curious as he hears the prophecy. His pre-existing ambition to the throne is apparent as he questions the witches seriously.
Say from whence you owe this strange intelligence, or why upon this blasted heath you stop our way.
Rather than indifferently as an innocent man like Banquo.
If you can look into the seeds of time and say which grain will grow and which will not, speak then to me.
In Wright's adaptation, Macbeth takes seriously the flirtatious words of the 3 Bargirl witches.
All hail, Macbeth. All hail, Macbeth, hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor. All hail, Macbeth.
While their tone appears more to entertain and seduce rather than to make a serious prediction, to Macbeth the words seem significant, and his face becomes tense only because it matches what he already has in mind. Obviously, the appearance of supernatural beings giving prophecies in a modern setting would appear crazy to all except for a man who already has the thought of becoming king in mind.
Where have you eaten on the insane route that takes the reason prisoner? Huh?
As explained, in all 3 versions, Banquo is the fall of Macbeth. By knowing his place in society and in the chain of being, showing no signs of worry about the prophecy or any desires to make his children kings, Banquo serves to emphasize Macbeth's unchecked ambition and weak moral character. Additionally, this matches Shakespeare's intention of portraying Banquo as innocent and noble, since he wrote the play for James I of England, who descended from the actually regicidal Banquo. Gould's scene is set in a dark, empty hall. The dim lights highlight the presence of evil, and the isolation matches Shakespeare's intention that the scene be set in a lonely, isolated place where evil prevails. In Polanski's film, this scene happens on the edge of a mountain while it is raining. The resting of the witches in such conditions stress their unnaturalness and helps convey their evil. In Wright's film, Macbeth meets the witches in a disco. This emphasizes the seductive nature, and thus the evil of the witches. The dreamy quality of the play suggests how the witches might just be illusions that serve to satisfy Macbeth's inner desires for the throne. Here, suspenseful music highlights the danger of the witches. Banquo's loading of the gun also conveys the aggression between the 2 forces, the good represented by Banquo and the bad by the witches. Polanski does not use music in this scene, but has the witches chant as Macbeth and Banquo arrive. In medieval Europe, Standing outside the Christian tradition was considered profane and evil. The disco music in Wright's depiction again highlights the seductive nature of the witches and conveys their trickery. In addition, there are many other choices each director made to portray his respective understanding of the scene. In Gould's scene, the bag of blood and coat in the center of the room indicates some sort of ceremony carried out by the witches, further emphasizing the presence of evil. The repeated presence of the cells is a symbol suggesting that Macbeth is trapped by fate to do evil. Also, Macbeth wears a captain hat while Banquo wears some form of special force hat, indicating that Macbeth is higher in rank than Banquo, as is in the play. Here, part of Macbeth's speech to the witches in the original play is instead shown through his inner thoughts.
Stands not within the prospect of belief.
The fact that he answers the witches after the encounter, during his sleep, stresses how the prophecies endlessly haunt him and remind him of his desires. Wright's film shows Macbeth turning on music that allows the witches to appear. The mixture is a symbol of free will, and since this movie is set in modernity, this suggests how Wright believes Macbeth has control over his fate and by free will chooses to give himself into evil. This contrasts to Gould's movie, where Macbeth is shown as trapped by fate through the cell symbolism. Also, in this scene, Banquo is not present to witness the witches and fails to believe Macbeth's stories. This suggests how, in Wright's interpretation, the witches may not truly exist and may simply represent Macbeth's inner desires to be king. Thank you for watching.